Hi, I'm Tiffany, and welcome back to Pixie Dust Healing, or welcome for the first time. Today I'm going to do my best to simplify this topic. I'll start with saying that I'm not a therapist, I'm not a mental health professional in any way. I am an individual person who has been on my own journey and my own experience with toxic relationships. And I want to share some of what I've learned and my understanding in hopes that maybe it might help someone else out there. The human magnet syndrome. Now, I learned this from Dr. Rosenberg. Rosenberg. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. He really helped me understand what was happening and the dynamics of the relationships that I was attracting and creating and choosing to be in, choosing to play out in my human experience, which has been a huge part of my learning process. And so in the human magnet syndrome, what it is you have somebody who is on the codependent end, and this is more of a people pleaser, somebody who fawns, abandons themselves. And then on the other end of the spectrum, and this is a spectrum, you have somebody who runs narcissistic. I guess at the very end, you'd have full NPD. And then you've got, everywhere in between. So the narcissistic person, essentially does whatever they need to do in order to get their needs met. So the codependent abandons themselves and the narcissist only thinks about themselves. And these are two separate ways that the child learns to cope with an unhealthy environment or trauma that has happened to the child. This is how we as children learn to cope with unhealthy situations. Either by completely abandoning ourselves or doing whatever we need to do to get our needs met. And so these children, well, we're very, very bright children who learn how to cope and learn these strategies in order for our survival and to get our needs met. As children, we then grow up and we become adults and we have these same coping mechanisms and we attract each other. This is the human magnet syndrome. And I find that to be so incredibly true. I even, in my last long-term relationship where I experienced this, we even commented on the magnetism that we felt. I thought it meant he was my soulmate because of that magnetism that just two opposite ends of the magnet coming together. Much to my surprise when I realized that was our trauma attracting each other, not that we were soulmates. Soulmates in a way, because at least on my end, he's helped me learn and grow. And because of that relationship, I am the person that I am today. And I like the person I am today. But I want to speak more to the self-abandoners, the people pleasers, the codependents, the ones who fawn. Because this has been my journey. And while it's really important to learn about narcissism and learn about the other, it's also important to learn about ourselves, to learn about not just the behavior in the other person, but to learn about the behavior in ourselves. And for me, I do find that in order to intellectually understand this information is extremely helpful in order for me to go through the actual healing process. And if you are the type that has attracted narcissistic partners, people that want to overpower you, dominate you, control you because they feel better. Mm-hmm. And when they are in that state, that's how they cope and that's how they feel better about themselves. I have so much compassion for you and empathy. Actually, I have empathy for the people who run narcissistic as well. They may even have deeper trauma and more layers to come out of. I want to talk about how important it is to not just get stuck in blaming the one who runs narcissistic, even though it's easy to, because in a lot of these situations, there definitely is abuse, and in some cases, heavy abuse. And I will never invalidate anybody's experience or feelings when they go through these kind of things. And we need to take the time that's part of the healing process of validating our own feelings, understanding our own experiences, and being there for ourselves. That is really one of the major steps in healing, in my opinion. Now, I'm not completely healed, but I decided to talk about this topic because I had an experience where I realized, oh, wow, I've come a long way. I've come a long way when I'm not going to go into it this time because I'm going to just, people's privacy is important to me. I'm not quite sure how to share it without exposing others in my life at this point. But I want to talk about how healing is possible. Not only is it possible, but it feels so amazing. It feels incredibly amazing to have, at one point in time, have people be able to say things to you that would just break you, completely break you and crush your spirit and crush your soul, and then be able to have somebody say something that a few years ago would have done that exact thing. And then you're like, actually, I know who I am. I know who I am. And I understand psychologically what's happening. And it's a defense mechanism in the other person in order to make themselves feel better so that they can protect themselves from their shame. And that's why they hurt you. And that's not okay. But here's the trap we get into as codependents. We think we can change and fix the other. And it's really just a big fat mirror for the healing that we need to do internally. And if you're the type that has tried to change and fix others, maybe go for the bad boys. This isn't gender specific. This is just my experience. Like, men and women can run the codependent people pleaser. Men and women can run narcissistic. So I don't want to get into anything like, so if you're male and you're listening to me, I very much just want to say I understand that females can be narcissistic. And not just romantic relationships too. I have had friendships that were very unhealthy that were also this human magnet syndrome that were some of my best friends. And I didn't realize that's what was happening, and what was going on is it was essentially a trauma bond in my friendships as well. And so I guess what I want to speak on today is that healing is possible. Know the other. Know yourself. Understand intellectually what's happening. Learn how to be with the physical sensations in your body. Okay, there's mind work. Mind work. I'm pointing at my body. There's mind work and there's body work. There's both. And there's the emotions, and they are all three connected. Okay, this is the best advice I can give if you want to start on your healing journey and don't know what to do. Find somebody who understands trauma healing, learn how the body works, learn how trauma is released. Like, find somebody who knows what they're talking about, knows what they're doing, and learn the body, because it will help you in your healing process so much. I'm going to throw someone out there that I highly recommend, that I've learned from, and that is Irene Lyon. She really helped me understand what's happening in my body, what's going on, so that I understand how to work with that and heal. But there's body work, feeling your feelings, understanding yourself, validating your feelings. The fixing and changing other people is because we try and fix and change ourselves, because we have internalized shame and we don't believe we're good enough. We have a false self as well. We have a false self, just like the narcissist has a false self, but our false self is generally identifying with our wounds and our shame, that we are not good enough, we are not enough, we are not worthy, and we need to change and fix ourselves in order to be good enough. And that's why we try and change and fix other people, because that's how we treat ourselves. And the person that runs narcissistic, they treat us how they treat themselves internally. So they must have a hell of an internal world as well. So if we can learn to stop, shift from changing and fixing and identifying with our wounds to understanding ourselves, being there for ourselves, feeling our feelings, then the mind work starts to happen. When we start having the emotional releases, the trauma releases, we start remembering who we really are. We create space in our body for more of our soul to take up that space. And damn, does it feel good. To have your soul, you recognize, your soul's there all along, but the unhealed trauma is blocking you from understanding that it's there and what it is and who you really are and what is possible in this life. Starting to go a little long, so I'm going to cut it. I'm going to say one last thing. Understand yourself. Validate your own feelings. Validate your own experience. Allow yourself to practice sitting with those tough emotions and tough sensations in your body. Because when you come out the other side, you're going to be so grateful. Because you're going to feel that. You're going to feel who you really are. And you know what? Life starts there. That's the real life. We get to appreciate this world. We get to appreciate where we are, who we are. Our souls are ecstatic to be here, embodied right now in this time. I know this time is rough, but I promise you, your soul is stoked to be here. It's like a cosmic playground out here. Anyways, best of luck. I'm holding space for you. You got this.